welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and my special guest today from the Creed of Recovery, Andrea Evans and John Entig. How are you?
Good.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm living the dream every day.
Yeah.
Every day it's going on. How you guys been? Haven't talked to you for a while.
Busy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
busy.
good. Well,
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, the last time we talked, you were just starting out with the Creed over on Main Street and your housing and all those things. And give us an update. What's going on?
Well, we have. It's really exploded since then. We're staying full now. We have the recovery housing and then the mental health and addiction counseling services. So we're staying full. We opened up an alumni house in, what was it, June of 2018? August of last year. So basically it's a 6-month program. The guys complete the 6-month program, and then either they transition out into their own independent living or return to family, or we have an alumni house where it's just sober living, where there's still a lot of structure, a lot of accountability. They stay connected with the services, and they keep working towards self-reliance and being independent. We still do, the random drug screens, all that, just to make sure everybody's doing the right thing. And just 2 weeks ago, we added a second alumni house, and it's been very successful. Andrea has been able to cultivate a lot of support from the community.
How many people are in the program right now, and how do they get in the program?
We have 18 in the more intensive part of the program at the 6-month level, and then we have 12 alumni, and then we have another half a dozen that don't do any housing at all. They just come in for services. So altogether, what is that? 45, 46.
That's
Yeah.
and this is all within the last year. You've done most of this,
Yeah.
and that's we talked about outreach, community outreach, funding. How does this work? Is this paid for? Insurance paid for this? How do these services are they paid for?
So the housing component is private pay. When they come in, a lot of times it's family, friends, people helping them out for that first initial fee. But then after that, we actually, through our outreach and our relationships with the community, we do have some partnerships with employers that believe in second chances, that will work with our guys that may have a criminal background, things like that. So we can usually, as long as our guys aren't too picky as to what they do or they're motivated to work, employment has never been a barrier. So then the guys can start paying for their own program fees. And once we know that they're paying for them and being financially responsible for themselves, we'll work with them, put them on a payment plan, things like that, until they start budgeting their money and so forth. So.
Now, the last time I was there, you were working on a concrete driveway and some things in the home. Talk a little bit about the house itself and some of the things you've done.
Yeah, when we purchased the property, it was 2 buildings. It was where the old Lancaster bingo was at. So we ended up having to convert the rear building to professional offices. So that means the parking area for handicap accessibility. So we've done that. It's a regular office now. The house we've outfitted pretty well. We like to keep a residential feel to it. We've stayed away from big commercial buildings that looks like an office building or an apartment building. We want the setting when the guys come there. We want them to feel like it's a home. like they were at their mother's house or their grandmother's home. So we like to keep, you know, a lot of those, the atmosphere of like a home setting. And this has been the reason for having to add the additional alumni houses. Because we don't want a big sterile facility, you know, with 50 people in it. We like to keep it in small groups. These guys do form very close bonds. Some of them don't have a lot of family, or there's been so many problems in the family because of what they've been through that the relationships are slow to heal.
One of the things that, because you mentioned guys, this is men only. This isn't, there's no
At
women
this
involved.
point, yes.
For housing.
For housing.
For
okay.
housing.
For housing.
In the last year, we've had to go through a lot. You mentioned something about the pay. So for the counseling services, we do accept nearly all forms of insurance. That's just for the counseling. The housing component is a self-pay. So recently, we've contracted with the Fairfield County Adam Board, because that was a huge barrier, guys being able to come up with that initial fee to move in. So they've helped with some of the move-in fees. The Major Crimes Unit has Project Fort.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the process now of doing a similar deal with referrals from them. And this is just for Fairfield County residents.
Right.
So if you're a resident of Fairfield County and you come to us through some source, usually another mental health provider or probation officer or something like that, then we can, if they meet eligibility for our program, there are some funds available to help them get started. And then once they come in, Andrea is great with helping them on the case management end, gets them connected with the Medicaid, helps them get food stamps until they can get working. So we've really tried to design a lot of the way we administer the program according to the new behavioral health redesign.
So
carve in.
what is different about that? That the behavioral redesign, is that
At
more
one
hoops to jump through, or
At one time, it was very difficult to get addiction services covered. So now they've included a lot of those. It still isn't quite where it needs to be, but it's moving in the right direction. One of the biggest challenges we face now, if you listen to Governor DeWine, and he'll talk about how the carve-in was to include, you know, areas just like Fairfield County that were so impacted by the addiction problem, and to get these people in short-term benefits so that they can get the treatment they need and get out of it. The issue we have is because we want the guys to reintegrate into the community and begin to work right away. So we get them in within 30 days. We want them having a job. As soon as they report to work, then they lose their Medicaid. So that means they lose access. So we spend 30 days getting them connected with psychiatric services, primary care, dental, vision, all of that. They go to work, bam, they lose all that. So we're still hoping that it'll get to the point where they can maintain coverage for 90 days regardless. Because when they start working, it's not like they're going to work for, $50,000, $60,000 a year.
Sure.
And then even the best job in the world, you have to work for 90 days before you can get benefits, any health benefits.
Is it difficult? I know you and I have worked on a couple of things for finding jobs. Employers, are they open to hiring?
Yeah, we've had a
Individuals?
lot of support. Like I said, we've had employers approach us and wanted to work with us and believed in what we're doing, believe in the people that need the help. They're willing to put forth the work, and so we've had a lot of support.
Thompson Concrete has been very helpful. They even donated a van so the guys could get back and forth to
To
work.
the job site.
Yeah, well, they go to the lot in Carroll,
Mm-hmm.
but even that is a job, getting 7 or 8 guys out there every morning.
Sure.
So we've just added a couple of vans to help with transportation. We have a 7-passenger, and we just got another 15-passenger. But every morning between 5:30 and 7, we got vans rolling, getting guys to work, and then in the afternoon picking guys up from work. Without that, they wouldn't have any means.
What's
Yeah.
the average stay for an individual?
Well, I don't know. What do you say? You're better with that than I.
I mean, our first phase, our phase 1, the first 30 days is a high structured environment. A lot of rules. They're on the buddy plan, things like that. So if they make it through that first 30 days, their success rate skyrockets quite a bit. I mean, I would probably. I mean, we've got some that have been with us over a year. And we got several that have been. They just don't want to go back to where they were from. So
No, do you still do, the last time I was out there was like one room here and then they moved up to the next room.
Uh-huh.
Is it still,
yep, because that's a sense
Yep.
of accomplishment. When they actually get to move to that next room, even though it's still in the same house, it's still it's motivation for them. Then they get to become the buddy for the next newcomer coming in.
right?
Paying it forward is very, very big. So
Well, you've had a lot of activities. I mean, the one night or the one day you had people cook, they could cook different things, whoever wanted to cook, and I didn't get invited, but that's okay.
yeah, once a month we'll buy all the groceries and they'll have a big community meal and all the guys will cook together and fellowship. Tomorrow we have 3 Creed teams in the YMCA dodgeball tournament. So we've made them all
Wow.
T-shirts.
Are you playing?
and
You two playing?
I'll be taking
I'm
pictures.
a coach.
Oh, I'm a coach. Okay.
Yeah.
But just fun things to,
Yeah.
that we try to get especially with the weather breaking.
Uh-huh.
We try to get them out and do a lot of community things.
Right. Yeah.
So,
That's now. Is there a religious aspect? Do they have to attend church or
Nope.
services or anything?
it's whatever works for them.
Yeah,
It's not our place to dictate that.
Yeah.
We want them to work a program. They got to do 90 and 90, which is 90 outside meetings in 90 days. But we don't say you have to go to AA, you have to go to NA, faith-based. It's whatever works for them. We don't
Sure.
dictate that.
That usually comes, Mike, after they've been sober for a while and they've been working a little while. When they first come in, they have trust issues and they've had people try to force all kinds of different things on them. So they'll push back if you push too hard. So we try to let them find their own way. And what we have found out is within a year or two, they start deciding on what works best for them. Spirituality is a huge component. Spirituality and physical activities. We do encourage it, but we try not to, force them down any one path.
Sure. As you develop this, and because this has been about a year, right, or a year and a half, maybe?
Probably a year and a half.
2017.
Yeah.
So, reaching for the stars and unlimited budgets. What's in the
gosh.
plans? I mean, if somebody says, "Gee, here you go. We'll help you do this." What would you like to see? What would you like to do?
I mean, I would like to eventually open a women's housing program. We do have females in our outpatient services. So I think that's great. They have that support, the fellowship of females. But the housing component is much needed. We got a lot of moms that or females that call and there's not a lot of options.
We need a large
So-
house today.
Right.
We
Another
would
one,
fill it
yeah.
up today. It's gotten that popular. We probably get 4 to 5 calls every single day, and we're just at capacity. There's nothing more we can do.
So at this point, we put them on the waiting list, and a lot of them will go ahead and start their outpatient treatment to continue on to stay on track, and then when we can get them a housing, then we'll get them in. But at least they're still the outpatient is still an option. So
Yeah, I think as far as the long-term goal goes, Mike, it would be for Lancaster to be known as having a vibrant recovery community. It took several years for Lancaster to fall in that category of being known as the epicenter of the opiate crisis, the opiate epidemic. So we want to turn that down. We would like at some point in the not too far future where someone would say Lancaster, once the epicenter of the opiate epidemic, is now the model city for recovery community. And you do that one house at a time. So we're involved now with a lot of the younger people, and they model behavior, they model healthy activities. Where, at one time it was cool to do the pills and smoke the weed and drink the beer with the guys, and now that's not cool. They enjoy going out, having good sober fun, playing frisbee golf. The guys were disc golfing this last weekend, or going to the movies, or just going bowling. Just doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
Things they've never done sober before.
we have a lot of alumni that even some that have already found independent housing or whatnot, that still they come back, they work with the guys, they do things with the guys.
Oh, that's good.
So at this point, we have so many alumni that makes us so much stronger for our newcomers to help building those bonds.
Do you work with other counties? Do you get involved with other, like Franklin County or Licking County, and are they?
Our guys come from everywhere.
Oh, they do.
Out of
They
state.
do. We're getting, it's predominantly Fairfield County, but we do get people coming from all over. But it's about having that reputation as being a good, solid recovery community, and the jobs. That's a huge thing. Jobs, having activities to do on the weekends. And this is, we're so close to the Hocking Hills with so many different things to do. But the employment scene is big. You got to be able to get the guys to work. If they can't work, they're not, and they take a lot of pride in being able to work and pay their own way. They really do. Once you can get them there. So that's some of the big things that we're really trying to model. And for every guy that you get on the right path, you never know how many different lives he'll impact as he goes along. And that's kind of what we see. Addiction in general is always had one addict working with another is one of the best things. These guys, they don't trust people who don't use. If they don't have that history, they just don't trust them.
Well, volunteers to come in to help out. Is there a need for volunteers?
We do have interns. We love interns. They're wonderful, and we get to work hand in hand and kind of pay it forward ourselves. And then we do have a lot of all the guys. Well, not all the guys, but a lot of the guys do have sponsors. So the sponsors are in and out. I mean, it's not per se a volunteer, but just working with the guys. And then we're 24-hour staffed. So our housing managers and stuff. We make sure that we are available.
Right.
So I think that makes a big difference too. The guys can call me 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If they need something, even if it's midnight, we will drive up and see what we need to do, or if they're struggling and just need to talk. But we're very blessed with an amazing staff at every property. So everybody, it's very family oriented. They lean on each other, and I think that makes a big difference.
So what do you say to the people who live in denial and say, we don't have a problem here in Fairfield, we don't have a problem here in Ohio, we don't have a problem here in the United States?
I don't know that there's a lot of that anymore. I will say
Yeah.
we've made progress as a community, that you don't have as much of a stigma that, not my kid, or
Right.
everybody knows somebody that has been impacted by drugs and alcohol of some sort. It may not be a direct relationship, but it's so widespread that I think that people are coming around on that. I mean, even the public schools with awareness and prevention, and I mean, back in the day, you didn't hear about that in the public schools. So the education of it, I think our community is making a big stride in that. So,
Is there anything that the community can do right now to assist you, to help? I know you have people looking jobs, you talked about Thompson Concrete, but is there anything that, I mean, gee, I wish we had this, or we could do this, or what if we had somebody that could help us with this? I mean,
I think that, not materialistic, but I think just to be open-minded, show compassion, name calling and judgment is not helping anyone. These are all great people that made poor choices, and it shouldn't be a life sentence. I mean, nobody's perfect, whether drugs and alcohol is involved or not. But I think just, showing some love and compassion to other people. It's someone's son, daughter, mom, dad. So I think that's the biggest thing that the community can do.
do the guys do any like community speaking at schools, or,
They do. Actually, I think both Brandon and Aaron. Brandon Cox is our housing manager at the Main Street property, and then Aaron Smith is at the Maple Street Alumni House, and they both have gone on different things.
Yeah, Channel 10 TV came
Yeah.
down and filmed Brandon and did a big segment on him.
super.
And a lot of them speak at like first responders to tell their
Right.
story through Project Fort, things like that.
Yeah, we want to encourage them to be very proactive in recovery, not necessarily for greed. So what we want to stay away from is, developing a cult-like atmosphere. So we're just one of many tools in the world of recovery. So part of them doing some service work and giving back, that's part of their personal journey. And, we have found that people who do that willingly feel better about themselves. It's not a matter of whether or not I'll ever use it again, but it's about, do you feel good about your life and what you're doing? And being able to take that tragedy from your past and use it to benefit others, I think really helps them move along in that area.
Drug screens, are they required to do drug screens?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I
And
mean,
alcohol.
what happens if they fail?
It's case by case.
Case by case, we have the multi-stage program, and it's designed like that because, we do have people slip. So if they do, usually what we do is we'll bring them back into one of the lower phases. Sometimes you may have to start the program all over again. And so we can adjust in that. If they haven't been with us very long and it was serious enough, we may want to send them back into a residential treatment. But typically, if they've been with us a few months and they go out and get with some girlfriend or something and drink a beer or smoke a joint, we're just going to increase the structure internally and try to get them back on the right path. It was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, we selected 10 people who had completed the program and had moved along either in the alumni house or out, and did urine drops just to see if they were maintaining sobriety, after they were out. And of the 10, 9 were totally clean, no problems, no use. One guy had been out with a girl that weekend and drank some beers. But that's a pretty good ratio, you know, to have a 90% clean rate once they leave. So that kind of tells us something's working. They're doing the right things, and we can't take all the credit for it, as Andrea was saying. It's the guys in the program and who are doing it themselves. They really get all the credit. All we did was provide the house and the
The house.
structure.
We just have a few minutes left. The half hour has flown by. Future plans? I know we talked about donations from the community, and is there anything that obviously, you know, financial we can get, but
Well, we need a house. We really want to get a women's program up and running. We have been so consumed with getting the proper accreditation and state certification and getting everything in place for the men's program. That's been kind of our sole focus. But as we begin to fill out our infrastructure in the men's program, there definitely is a need to have something very similar for women. Women do have different needs, and that has to be a separate program. We do have some experience with that from from the past. So we want to get that up and off the ground. I hate to put a time limit on it if I can't make it, but I would hope within the next year we do have something where we can offer a similar service for women.
website, phone number, how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to help out with a house or financial? Or
So, I mean, most importantly, if somebody knows somebody that's struggling using, has no idea how to navigate through that, we will refer at no charge, no cost. If somebody wants to help, I'm going to make the call, and we're going to get them in to detox resident, whatever they may need.
Okay.
So I don't want anyone to ever hesitate, even if Creed is not a fit. It's about, you know, getting them in and getting them that help.
Number they can call?
Yep, 614-404-6008. And then our website is thecreedofrecovery.com. So there's lots of information on there as well. So.
Fantastic. Andrea, John, it's been great having you on. You have
Well, thank
done
you, Mike.
amazing things in the last year since I've seen you last, and we'll get you back on so we can talk a little bit more about it. And do you welcome people to come in, like open house type thing? Or
Absolutely. We
Okay.
like people to
What's the
come
address
see.
again?
The office is 551.5 East Main. So you come in the alley and you'll see the parking lot in the office.
Close to the BP station.
Right beside
Right next
BP.
to BP.
Office is in the rear through the alley.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.